we are going to be covering Protecting the Future, which is the next section in our textbook. And the chapter focus question for this is how can we balance economic growth, so the growth of our money sector, and environmental stewardship. So that means taking care of the environment as well. So we have a map here. The person that we're going to be talking about in this example lives right here in just outside of Shanghai. We are in China is where our story is going to take place, and we're going to be referencing a lot of what's happening in China. To give you an idea of some of the other things that are in this area, we have Mongolia. This is North Korea and South Korea. We have Japan over here. Some of us are more familiar with this part of the map that's not actually lit up. So this here is the Philippines. We have Vietnam. This is Nepal and India. Thailand would be in here as well. And you can see Myanmar here. And so this is kind of the area of the world that we are looking at. Now, in comparison, we have Canada and Saskatchewan, so that star represents us in Regina, and we're going to be talking about this area of the world over here. So between Regina and Wuxi, it is 9,894 kilometers. Now, if it is 9 o'clock a.m. on Monday here, it is going to be 11 o'clock Monday in this city in China. And so when we're looking at this, it's important to know that even though it's on the same day, it's almost the next day. So as we move forward, we are going to start today with the My Story, and we are going to talk a little bit about a young man named Xiao, and the story is called Xiao's Lake. In this section, you'll read about Xiao, a young man helping to care for his family. He lives in eastern China. What does this story tell you about the challenges of balancing economic growth and environmental stewardship? And the story is by Megan Shank. Xiao lives with his father, mother, grandmother, and older brother in a tiny village near Wuxi, an ancient city in the east of China. After learning of his father's diabetes diagnosis, Xiao found a full-time job to help support his family. Xiao, whose name is pronounced Xiao, as in shower, and his brother both work at a factory that produces machines that make ice cream. His mother works at a different factory and tends the family's orange and peach orchard. His father is a part-time driver. Every morning at 7 a.m., Xiao rides his motorcycle to Wuxi. There are many factories in this area. These factories have easy access to railroads and canals that transport goods to large cities such as Shanghai. Xiao works 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. Many local youth leave the area to find better jobs, but Xiao wants to stay close to his family. So this is a picture of Xiao, and he is riding home from work on his motorcycle. Life has changed as China has become wealthier. Meat used to be too expensive to eat every day. 30 years ago, few people could afford a television. Now, most families in Xiao's village own one. Unlike his parents' generation, which suffered famine and shortages of many goods, Xiao doesn't remember a time when food was scarce. So famine is when you do not have enough to eat. He does remember when the waters of Lake Tai were clean and clear. Lake Tai is China's third largest body of fresh water. It is just a 5-minute jaunt from Xiao's house. As a boy, he learned to swim there. He collected snails in the lake and had mud fights with friends. Walking through the family's fruit orchard, it's hard to imagine this place ever smelled like anything other than sun-ripened oranges. Yet, in the summer of 2007, a terrible odor crept from the lake across the orchard and into their home. An algae bloom covered the lake with green slime. The algae bloom was caused, in part, by pollution and pesticides from the farms and factories around the lake. The algae used up the oxygen in the lake. Suffocated fish floated to the surface, belly up. You didn't even want to use the water to bathe, much less to drink, says Xiao. 30 million people rely on Lake Tai for drinking water. That summer, the families in Xiao's village avoided the lake water. They drew water from local wells or bought bottles of water. Bottled water was rushed to Wuxi during this crisis. We are going to take a look. So here's a picture of Xiao's mother who is tending the orange trees in the family orchard. We have a street in the village. This is Xiao's mother as she prepares her dinner in a large wok. And these are the dishes that the family is going to share. So it looks like this is some sort of a plant. It kind of looks maybe like it is like a bok choy or something of that sort. This looks like maybe it's a mushroom. These are shrimp. I'm not really sure what those are, but they're all going to share those for their meal. We'll go through the pictures on this as well. So a factory by the lake is torn down. Here is algae and trash that float on this small pond near Xiao's home. And here we have Xiao, and he looks like he is playing basketball. Xiao's family shut the windows and put up with the stench. Flies and mosquitoes swarmed. Small ponds where neighbors had once washed their fruit and rinsed their rice filled with algae and muck. People started to throw their garbage into these pools as well. If the environment was better, people behaved better, says Xiao. When there's pollution, people throw their garbage where they shouldn't. The city of Wuxi has started to solve the problem. They hired people to remove the algae. They've also shut down some factories around the lake to reduce the pollution. Towns are also being bulldozed. Citizens in the village next to Xiao's village were forced to move when the government claimed the area for a park. Xiao has never lived anywhere else and worries the government will make his family move too. He has mixed feelings about his parents' use of pesticides and fertilizers in their orchard. He knows these chemicals run off into the lake and cause more harm. He also knows that the factory where he works may be adding to the pollution. Still, Xiao needs a job. He hopes to save money, marry, and start a family. Preferably, he says, by the time he's 23. So there are no easy answers. How can you choose between family and your home? He asks. So something that you guys might not know is that this algae bloom is something that happens in Saskatchewan as well on a lot of our lakes, because a lot of our lakes also see a lot of runoff of pesticides and chemicals that are being used in all the crops. And so that is something that we actually also have in Saskatchewan, and it's a very big problem, because if you drink the water, you can get very sick, and it is very deadly to a lot of our pets, like dogs. If they drink it, they can become very, very sick and die. So this is something that happens not only in China, but it happens here in Saskatchewan as well. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is you guys are going to answer the inquiring minds questions. So take out a piece of paper. You will answer these. The first one is, why is Xiao concerned about the future of his community? The second question is, what are the positive and negative effects of economic growth on Xiao's community? And the third one, how does economic development affect the natural environment where you live? So answer those questions. And then the next thing I'm going to have you guys do is you are going to do a little bit of predicting what you think the next section is going to be about. So by flipping through page 216 to 221 and using only your text features, so your titles, your subtitles, your pictures, graphs, maps, those types of other pictures, make sure you're using only those items, but take down some notes as to what you think the next few pages are going to be about.